Changing profile of crime and criminals. Introduction. Dear students, in this session, we are going to learn how the profile of crime has changed over time. Students, what is crime? Crime is an action that is harmful to oneself or the society, that is illegal and punishable by law. The action violates the rules and norms of the state or the country. A crime may cause self-destruction of the individual and also of the community. The crime may range from minor level of threatened robbery or to the extent of kidnap, and may also result in murder or suicide. So who are criminals? The individual who commits a crime is called a criminal. In our daily life, we are vulnerable to various types of criminals in the society. They could be kidnappers, rapists, murderers, or even terrorists. There are criminals who are indulged in crime under the influence of politicians and businessmen. With the rapid globalization and urbanization, the rate of crime is also shooting up day by day. On the one hand, where scientific advancement serves as a boon for the society, it is also serving as a bane on the other. The same technology can be utilized to harm the society or the nation. There have been advancements in the way crimes are being committed. In olden days, only the uneducated and the poor people were driven to be criminals, but nowadays even well-educated young people are involved in major crime. Technology has been exploited by these people to commit crime or to perform terror attacks. We will further discuss the causes of crime and its types. Causes of crime and types of crime. Causes. There is a wide range of factors that will explain why a person would commit a crime. The root causes of crime may include social, economic, cultural, and family background. Psychological reasons like anger, pride, jealousy, greed, and revenge may also cause a person to commit crime. There are some people who desire for money, materialism, and quick financial growth. Few political leaders use such reasons to tempt an individual to commit a crime. Family and cultural cause. Let us briefly discuss these one by one. First, let's take the family background. A person is closely related to his family right from the birth. The behavior of the person and his thought processes are developed and influenced by the family circle. Families where there is a lack of parental attention, lots of conflict or criminality may induce or tempt or even influence the child to commit the crime. Such families show a lack of responsibility from the parent's side. Cultural values play an important role in the person's behavior. Media can influence a lot on cultural habits of people. Television and movies are said to cause aggressive behavior in teenagers and children. Habits of stealing may crop up due to the effect of watching influential programs. Cultural values are also lost due to the influence of media. Social and economic cause. The next cause we are about to explore is the social influence and economic factors. In society, the peer circle can influence a person to commit crime. Social reasons can be inequality, lack of education, and so on. Families facing financial crisis who cannot even afford the basic necessities are sometimes forced to beg or to steal. Under such conditions, the desire for materialism, driven by peer influence, can cause the individual to take up the crime path. Let us now go to analyze the different types of crimes. There are two major categories of crimes: personal crime and property crime. The crime that affects an individual mentally or physically is called personal crime. This includes physical, mental, or sexual assault, false imprisonment, drug abuse, kidnapping, and rape. The person is forced to obey the criminal's desire in order to face less consequences. The other type is property crime, where the criminal interferes with the person's property. The property may be acquired by the criminal by robbery, forgery, and false pretenses. Crime may also involve arson and vehicle theft. White-collar crimes are committed by people in high social status with respect to their job. It includes violation of income tax laws embezzlement of money, and tax evasion. Other types of crimes include crime against morality, like prostitution and illegal gambling, rape and sexual assault, and antisocial behavior, domestic violence, religious and racism clashes, film or music piracy, and so on. Organized crime is committed by a well-planned and structured theft of goods and services. In the next subtopic, we are about to discuss organized crime. Students, what is organized crime? Organized crime is defined as a crime that is well planned, controlled, and coordinated by individuals working with other individuals. Such crimes are planned at a high level. Crime group structures may vary. In a group, there may be educated as well as uneducated mass for different purposes. Educated criminals will gain technical control over the crime spot, and work is divided depending on the expertise area of each person. Organized crime disturbs the peace and threatens the human security. It violates human rights and can affect the socio-economic, political, and cultural life of the society or nation. Such organized crime can also happen at transnational level. Organized crimes take place in the form of money laundering, human trafficking, people smuggling, and cybercrime. Let us discuss each of these. First, money laundering. The ultimate aim behind any crime is to gain money either directly or indirectly. When this money is prevented from being associated with the criminal activity, then this is called money laundering. Most of these activities are carried out in the form of cash. In order to avoid problems, assets are either bought or money is stashed away in international banks abroad. Crime is well organized and executed by the criminals. Let us now move on to human trafficking and people smuggling. Human trafficking is defined as a transfer or receipt of people by means of threat, power, or vulnerability for the purpose of exploitation. People can be exploited by forced labor, slavery, prostitution, or removal and selling of organs. The victim is first kidnapped and transported, transferred in exchange for money, drugs, and other materials. People smuggling is the act to obtain illegal entry into a state, party of which the person is not a national resident. Cybercrime. Crime that involves the usage of computer, network, internet, and other information devices such as smartphones is called a cybercrime. Due to the increase in urbanization, organized crimes have gained technical advancements. Organized criminals operate their services with the help of their own experts. Data over the internet or any system is illegally accessed and obtained by these criminals for financial purposes by threatening the victim. There are three major categories of crime: cybercrime against a person, against a property, or against a government. Cybercrime against a person occurs when the person is harassed via email or cyber stalking. The person may receive spam mails or harassing mails containing some documents, files, or photos. The person may be cyber stalked. That is, the person's online activities may be tracked and sensitive information obtained by the criminals to exploit the resources of that victim. The next category is a cybercrime against property. This type of cybercrime includes computer vandalism by transferring malicious programs to another computer through internet. Sometimes there may be offers that users may be attracted to review. When the user accesses the link, all the sensitive information of the user used over the net, including internet banking data, are obtained by the criminal and the person is financially exploited. The criminal may also trespass into a company's intranet and steal the confidential company information. We shall further discuss crime against women and children. Let us take a look at the crime against women. Although we speak proudly about our advancement in science and technology in our social life, crime against women is witnessing a rising trend everywhere. The cases of kidnapping, molestation, and sexual assault are escalating day by day. Crimes listed under the Indian Penal Code, which includes rape, kidnapping and abduction, dowry deaths, molestation, domestic violence, sexual harassment, and importation of girls. Crimes listed under the Special Social Laws are Immoral Traffic Act 1956, Dowry Prohibition Act 1961, Indecent Representation of Women Prohibition Act 1986, Commission of Sati Prevention Act 1987. Violence against women is any behavior that causes physical or mental harm to the victim. When it is committed at home by a closely intimate person, it is called domestic violence. Domestic violence may involve hitting, kicking, biting, throwing objects, and physically hurting the woman. This also includes threats, sexual abuse, and emotional abuse. The motive behind these is just one factor, that the person prefers dominating or to have control over the victim. Main causes of this are family background and socio-economic problems. Rapes are committed when a person is forced into an unwanted sexual activity. The cases of rape are on the increase in India. Recently, with the Delhi rape incident where a 23-year-old was sexually abused, ultimately causing death, has left the nation in a shock. Another crime, dowry death. This is the act of causing a woman's death by continuous harassment by the husbands and in-laws in an effort to extract increased dowry from the girl's family. This problem mainly prevails in India, where the brides are tortured just for the love of wealth. Let us now discuss crime against children. We all know that crime against children has been a major social concern for many years. The main form of crime against children is child abuse. Children of all age groups have been vulnerable to child abuse. It is a neglect of or violence against children. The child may be abused physically or may be put down emotionally. Child marriage is yet another crime committed against children. Girls below the age of 18 and boys below the age of 21 are legally not eligible for marriage. Child marriage was once a major crime in India. Now, with recent changes, there is a vast decrease in the rate of child marriage. It leads to also dowry problems, where the girl's family is forced to satisfy the demands of the girl's in-laws. If not, the girl is tortured and ultimately becomes a serious issue. Some criminals kidnap and sell children. First of all, it's all for the money, that they lose humanity. Secondly, the children are abused in various forms. Such criminals use these children for various purposes. They might remove and sell the organs of these children, make them beg, and if it is a girl child, they may even send the girl for prostitution. Although we have seen rapid social and economic growth in the society, this problem is still prevalent in remote areas of India. Let us look at corruption now as a form of crime. As we all saw, corruption is a misuse of status and power for personal benefit. In India, it is a major issue that affects our economy and is highly inevitable. A corrupt person is also immoral, dishonest, and demands a favor if work has to be done on time. The illegal favor done to a person in order to get a work accomplished is called a bribe. Using such illegal ways, the person gets illegal money into his account, and in order to escape the law, the money is stashed in foreign banks abroad. Is corruption specific to any segment of the society? Oh no, corruption starts right at the top and slowly spreads to all the sections of the society. When we look at corruption in the public life, it covers all segments: politics, government, business, education institutions as well. If work has to be accomplished, people have to get it done through high influence of high status people. Some people prefer bribing the officials with huge sums of money, whereas some officers demand money indirectly. This way, corruption has spread all over the place like a disease. People involved in corruption come from all segments of the society, either indirectly or directly. Some people do not have a choice rather than giving in for bribery. Everyone knows that criminals have no morals and we cannot expect them to behave properly. But these days, even police are involved in corruption. Instead of favoring law and order, they are forced to favor political parties and obey their orders. Methods of corruption. There are numerous methods of corruption. Let us take them one by one. First and foremost, corruption by bribery. This is the most common method of corruption. Bribery is the illegal use of favors in exchange for personal profit. Personal profit or demand may include anything ranging from money, company shares, entertainment, employment, political benefit, or even sexual favors at times. The next method of corruption is embezzlement, theft, and fraud. What is embezzlement? It is a method of involving someone having access to assets by illegally taking control of them. Fraudulent activities happen everywhere by making false promises and deceiving them on assets and funds. Such fraudulent activities may happen directly or even through the internet. The next method of corruption is extortion and blackmail. Extortion is a criminal activity of obtaining money, property, or services illegally in a coercive manner. That is, by threatening and blackmailing the person to satisfy their demands. The other method is by misusing one's status and authoritative power for personal reasons. Corruption is an inevitable problem everywhere. It is possible to stop corruption only when people consider the value of ethics and morality. Foolproof laws should be tailored such that there is no room for corruption. As an example to this, we have the Jan Lokpal Bill, which is designed to make India a corruption-free nation, but the bill has not been passed yet. Political systems have to be made more transparent, such as that it gives no room for corruption and stringent actions should be penalized on corrupt officials. These are the only ways corruptions can be eliminated. Let us now take a look at the economic profiles of criminals and how they have changed over time. Change in economic profiles of criminals. The socio-economic profiles of criminals have made a tremendous change over all these years. Changes in socio-economic conditions are the main reasons. There have been psychological changes in their way of thinking too. Let us discuss the changes in crime trend. Poverty is not a cause. On studying the change in pattern of criminal records, researchers have observed that poverty is not a cause that drives a person to become a criminal. In ancient days, illiterate people struggling for the family, earning scarce basic amenities, were forced to become criminals. They did not have any choice other than begging or stealing. So the family's low economic profile had been the cause of crimes in those days, but it's not the case now. Change in criminal operations. Criminals do not follow traditional patterns of committing a crime. They have learned to be more alert and more cautious while committing crime. In the olden days, there were thieves who robbed the houses and would have food at the crime spot or would defecate after committing the crime. Some criminals even leave back foot impression and little clues that would set a trap for themselves. But nowadays, crimes are planned clearly without leaving any single trace of clue. Technological advancements. There have been drastic advancements in technology over these years, and these advancements are used by criminals for committing their crimes. The new age crimes like cybercrime, identity theft are all on the rise. Example, hacking an online bank account of a person, obtaining sensitive information illegally by fraudulent activities, and so on. In these cases, we need much more sophisticated technologies to track and trap the criminals. In the earlier days, there were no such complications. The levels of crime were much lower as compared to the crime in these days. Change in organizing crime. During the earlier days, crimes were conducted by an individual or a group of individuals. The way the crime was organized by these criminals those days were completely different from the way it is now. Nowadays, most of the crimes are either cyber-based or occur in the cyber network. The use of sophisticated technological methods by educated people to commit a crime is a new trend. To track and catch these modern-day criminals, officers have to use even more sophisticated methods and technical support. With change in time, police and investigators should have a deep idea on how the criminals will commit the crime and the different methods or approaches that they could be adopting to deal with the same. There needs to be a total revised look on the pattern of crimes that are being committed these days, and the policies and methods to deal with them must also be revised. Even law and order needs some amendment to make more stringent rules. This way, crime rates can be reduced to a great extent. Conclusion. In the beginning of the session, we defined crime, explained who criminals were, and took a look at the scientific advancements that played a major role in crimes being committed, with even educated people being criminals. Then we discussed the causes of crime. From all the aspects of life, family background, social, cultural, economic causes of crimes were discussed. Types of crime was classified into two major categories, personal and property crime. Personal crime affecting the individual personally, and property crime related to the financial funds or assets of a person. Following this, we discussed how organized crime takes place. Organized crime includes money laundering, human trafficking, people smuggling, and cybercrime. Each type was explored briefly. In the second half of the session, we listed out the crime against women and children, women facing domestic violence, physical and sexual assault, acid attacks, and other forms of trouble such as dowry death. Children are in no way better than women as crime victims. The crimes against children are kidnapping, any form of abuse, and child marriage. We explained how corruption is a branch of crime. The motive behind any crime is financial gain, and corruption in the form of bribe, embezzlement, theft, fraud, extortion, and blackmail were discussed briefly. We then discussed in detail about how the socio-economic status of criminals have changed over time. We hope this session has given you a clear picture about the changing profiles of crime and criminals. Hope you had a useful learning experience.